is like heating up, and we're going to talk about how Russia and the U.S., so Donald Trump and Putin, are basically destroying the deep state, and how that's been going on. It's been an ongoing thing for quite some time. If you go back to JFK, we'll talk about JFK. I've talked about JFK. The reason why they assassinated JFK is because he's working behind the scenes with Russia. Now, when Nixon came in, he also worked with Brezhnev. And then of course they, destroyed Nixon, and then Reagan. Of course, Reagan came in, and he, worked with the Soviets and worked to this basically not worked with the Soviets, but basically took out the Soviets, and they tried to kill him. All right, so there's a pattern here. Now Trump, of course, they tried to kill him, and he's working with Russia. So what does it do when these presidents work with Russia? It destroys the deep state. All right. So the deep state is on the ropes, and they're going to continue to try and do some crazy stuff, but they're not going to be so successful going forward. All right. So first of all, let's look at Hurricane Helene, not Helene, Hurricane Aaron. Like I said, it's growing in size. It's probably going to cause some serious problems.
Major hurricane, could be a low end, but still a major hurricane. And then it's going to broaden out. It's going to get really, really enormous. And it's going to have big rain bands and a bigger wind field. The future intensity is dependent on whether the inner core eye wall structure becomes re-established. The official forecast conservatively shows a slight increase in intensity similar to the model consistence, but to LGEM. This is a logistic growth equation model. This is used for forecasting tropical cyclone intensity. Now, this guidance shows a little more strengthening than that. And the intensity that they have it on is sitting right at 105, then go up just 5 miles per hour to be 110, 110, 110. This right here is not believable to me.
All right, so he's talking about how it's coming into warmer water than it already is. Remember, it was like a Cat 5, very high end Cat 5, maybe even a Cat 6 at one point. So they're deep states testing their engines on these hurricanes. So they ramped it up. It's being pushed. I think it's being pushed by the good guys. All right. So the next one that's coming in was supposed to hit Florida. Now it's going to go north too. So we have, the good guys doing the best they can against this technology that's really been so far advanced that they didn't have much control over it. So fortunately, I think the good ETs have come in and helped the positive white hats, if you will, and they're having some effect now. As he's pointing out, they're saying it's going to continue to be a Cat 2, but the effects on this hurricane are going to start to decrease. The shear and the dry air and so forth coming over warmer water. Some of the predictions that are coming out, I think the European model has it going further west, which means it's going to come even closer to North Carolina, and they've been very accurate. So we'll see.
Wind shear is going down, or is big enough and strong enough to combat the big 90 knot wind shear that it has. It's going into warmer waters, the warmest waters yet, just like I showed you earlier. Plus, it still has a little bit more deep ocean heat to get into. So this is going to intensify, and it's going to intensify rather quickly. Not like earlier. The eye isn't super small. You don't even have an inner eye yet. It is going to work on that next. As soon as it grows all that moisture and goes all the way around, or most of the way around, blocks whatever's left of the dry air, the dust, or any further shear, so that the inner core could really get its structure, it will get a smaller eye, and it will go off to the races. I believe we will see a Cat 3 and not a Cat 2. And at that scenario, it would raise the increase of the storm surge, also some of the possible wave height. So you can see this when you look with the latest update with the Euro, which, by the way, did shift a little more to the west, like I told you earlier.
All right, so he did one, I believe it was yesterday, where he talked about how the euro was pointing that it was going to go further west, and so forth, and so it has. All right, so it's going to come even closer to North Carolina. Now I know North Carolina has done a lot of evacuation. We've seen long lines of cars evacuating the Outer Banks of North Carolina, Ocracoke, and all those areas, Kitty Hawk. So a lot of these areas are basically um, it's probably a big problem. Uh, so let me see if I get the sound a little bit better. How about the sound now? So get it closer to the mouth. Right. So some of you guys have good sound. So some of you guys not so much. I don't know. So I've adjusted my microphone so we can pick up. Can you hear the bowls? All right. So the better, right? So better, closer to the mouth is better. Good. Right. So how about the I just hit the bowls just now. Did you guys hear them? Beautiful. Good. Health is wealth. Good. All right. So I just did. Yes, the love bowls are back slowly. Good. So I played with the sound. I cut off the noise, uh, reduction. It is not working now, so that I can play the bowls. All right. So, but I guess I have to have it really close to my mouth. So so maybe they just blew it up. Yes, 5x5 bowls, good. All right, so the bowls are working. As you guys remember, in my very early days, 5-6 years ago, I used to do the bowls at the end of every show. So we'll try and do a little meditation at the end. And so when I did a test run, everything worked fine. So I'll just try and keep my mouth close to this thing, but it does slip a little bit. So I'll try and keep it where it's supposed to be. All right, so as you guys can see, this is shifting. It's shifting to the west. Fortunately, it didn't hit Florida. I think it was probably intended to, but I think we're still going to see some Florida action. All right, the Florida action is coming probably in September. Probably 4 different hurricanes. What I'm seeing, and it's going to be pretty devastating. But consciousness can't, like I say, can have an effect, and we'll see if we can do that. All right, so let's jump in a little bit deeper into the hurricane. This is Weatherman Plus. You guys have blown up he's like spot on. This is I think the best weather forecaster anywhere. No one touches this guy. He's tapped into God, and I love it.
Now you can see it right now. It's getting some dry air entrainment in there. It's getting some shear as well. I don't have the left side of the system. But as we go through the evening, watch how it combats that dry air. It gets a good moisture pocket, has a great moisture pocket. So at this point, it can start intensifying and getting that inner core eye wall. Then it strengthens and it broadens out big all the way to the last second. Now, a good thing to note is when it's moving up here on the coast, going through all that very warm water, it's going to be reaching way out here because it's going to grow and get enormous. And it's going to pull in and upwell some of that cooler water. So it's going to cause it to weaken down. Then the westerly winds is going to push it out. So now the thunderstorms is going to start getting pulled away from it. So it's going to start weakening down rather quickly, I do believe. So this is the Euro on this morning's run to 0Z. And look at the 12Z. It went further towards the west as it strengthened and grew in size, everybody. So that's why I think the wind field is going to change just a little bit more. So that's why you have that watch going all the way up towards Delmarva, which is very smart. I think it also could be maybe even a hurricane watch right here for the tip as that goes by the Outer Banks. But showing in the latest run that it will get all the way towards you, and then it'll start peeling off towards the right. See how that got closer? So it did shift to the west.
Okay, so we're seeing here the time, Thursday, August 21st, 3 p.m. 3 p.m. Wow. you couldn't have gotten more perfect. All right, so let's look at Cape Hatteras. So Cape Hatteras, it's all the same, all up and down the coast. You're seeing high tide 411. It's a pretty good high tide, 3.76. Let's go back and look at, see if we can go back and look at, yep. Kitty Hawk. So Kitty Hawk, it's all of them around 3 to 4, right? So I can go back and forth and I can show you guys that's 4. That's Kitty Hawk. That's the ocean, right at the ocean. So that's a 4-footer at 414. So right at all of them around 3 to 4 o'clock, guys. Hatteras, ocean. So here you're looking at 525. So it's going up to high tide. All of these Ocracoke Inlet. So the Hatteras inlets, all these inlets, it's going to push a lot more water up there. So that's 4 o'clock, 2.37. So imagine this hurricane coming in with another 10 to 20 feet pushing that up, guys. So I saw this in my area. Well, I didn't see it, but we saw the results of it. This is going to be very substantial flooding, probably that's going to happen all around North Carolina coast. So I know a lot of people like myself like to stick this stuff out, but you better be very careful at this point. That could be very dangerous if you've got a second-story house and it's good foundation. Maybe you can ride it out on a second level if it floods. But if you're on a one level, I remember my next door neighbor was talking about how he rode out Hurricane Helene, and he was like, he had his body up against the front door because it was like flooding. The whole house was flooded, and he was for like hours up against the front door so it wouldn't blast in and let more water into the house. He had his wife and kids and pets. Not good. He's only had 1 story, so his whole house flooded, and there were lots of houses, and a lot of people unfortunately died during that flooding because a lot of people stick this out. So I would very much caution if you're on a 1-story, if you're right on the beach, you're going to be possibly in a very dangerous situation. So just be heads up. Trust your intuition. But this could be very, very dangerous. It's a mandatory evacuation, but of course, it's your property. You can do what you want on your property. So, life goes on. So we'll see possibly some more of this going forward. I'm not sure, how much that's going to be. Let me go back to the tide predictions. I guess I wasn't showing them. So let me go back in. So I can't just unfortunately go one to the other. So let me go back and share screen and go back to the tide so you guys can actually see what I was talking about. I thought I was showing you guys. All right, so you see here, this is North Carolina. I clicked on North Carolina, and like I was telling you guys, Hatteras. So you can see the tides here. Low tide is 11:47 a.m. So just around 12. So it's at 12 o'clock. It's coming in all the way to 3 o'clock. So the high tide is at 5, and some of these high tides are significant. Hatteras Ocean. Let's go Cape Hatteras. So that's a pretty high tide, 3.76. That's at 411. So it's coming through 3 to 5. So it's going to get, like I said, this is going to upwell the water, 10 to 20 feet, probably around 15 feet or more, if this intensifies and comes in like they're talking about. So very, very dangerous situation coming in. So just be heads up. Be aware that, this thing is going to probably be a monster hurricane. And let's look at a bit more.
Showing in the ensembles that it could grow in size Thursday morning by 7 o'clock. You see how it could get a little bit wider, but the consensus takes it a little bit further towards the east. So I don't see it going way far, but it could get right up to towards that edge, everyone, as that comes by. Look, see how that grows and goes a little bit closer.
Now look how as it comes along, it's getting all of like Virginia Beach, all the way up through there. Gets a little bit down in South Carolina as it comes in, but pretty much the brunt of it's going to really impact North Carolina. These bands, these rain bands, when they come in, they can be pretty powerful. There's a friend of mine that's down in Sarasota, Florida, is saying that the rain is coming down like crazy right now. And that's in Sarasota, Florida. That's the east coast of Florida. So this is affecting a wide range of stuff. Fortunately, because Florida is getting some serious rain bands that are coming to east to west, is pushing this out. So, but these are very powerful, and they're dumping a lot of rain on Florida right now. So possibly causing flooding. And Florida's been super wet. Before we left a couple months ago, it was raining like crazy. Our pool, usually in the summertime, I have to add water to it. It was like overflowing. It was raining like crazy. So and it's been continuing. I've heard from a lot of people how there's been a lot of rain in Florida. So that means it's very wet, very soaked. The earth is soaked. A hurricane comes over that, it's going to stay powerful. It will stay powerful over land because it will, it'll be fed by the water on the land and the lakes and the, ponds and all the kind of stuff that's all over Florida. So that's one of the things I was seeing last year. So this year it's even stronger. So we'll see. It doesn't happen, but I believe Florida's going to get hit by multiple hurricanes this year, right? So other things that are happening, of course, is we've talked about the energy coming from the sun. It's bringing in wave after wave of electrical energy, very powerful. It's starting to build up in the earth. I believe in Japan, we're probably going to have, like I've been saying, a 10 pointer on the Richter scale, and then eventually off the coast of California, I think we're going to have a big one too. All right, so we'll see. I think there's going to be multiple tsunamis that will hit the west coast of America and up and down, even down into Mexico and so forth. So some of them won't be as significant, especially if it's coming from Japan. It's still going to be, pretty tragic, I think, for a lot of people. But there's going to be enough warning if it happens in Japan, depending on the time, right? If it happens in the middle of the night, and then you got like so many hours before it hits, it's going to be it could be a little shady. Now I've seen it, a very massive tsunami hitting, and it's very early in the morning, so there's not going to be a lot of people that are going to be forewarned. And I saw many millions of people are going to get wiped, right? So some people have said 100 million. I don't know if it's going to be that big, but we'll see, right? If you're intuitive, you're going to be where you're supposed to be, right? And so that's the name of this game going forward. The intuitive people go forward and build the new earth, and then the people that haven't done their work or dismiss intuition and so forth don't go forward, because that's what the earth is. The earth and the new energies are basically for higher consciousness, and intuitives and so forth will be able to be in the places where they're going to survive, right? So and I don't make these rules, but that's the way it works. Right? This has happened very, very, very many times throughout history. Right? We've seen it more recently, of course, during 9/11 and other times where people weren't on planes. They said, some of the people that I've worked with in this field of consciousness were supposed to be on those planes and didn't get on them at the last minute. And that's very interesting. So then I work with them. So you're going to attract to you, the people that are going to inform you. So a lot of you that are watching have been watching for many years. You're being informed. You're seeing how my mind and my intuition works, and a lot of you, over time have learned to, reach higher consciousness as well. And there's been times where I've learned from you guys too. So I don't have all the answers, but as we move forward, we'll be sharing, because think of the consciousness field as a river, and as you add to that consciousness field, it grows. So as each one of us increases our consciousness, we're adding to this river of goodness that we can all tap into. So don't think that just because you're not, influencer, or, talk to a lot of people, or the people around you don't believe in you and so forth, your consciousness still adds to this positive field of this river of love and light, and you'll continue to add to it, and you'll continue to benefit from it, right? And then others will affect. Yes, Sasha, the ripple effect. So the ripple effect is very important as we move forward, and yep, slowly adding to the collective. So all of us, as we move forward, we're gonna benefit, and we're gonna contribute. You'll contribute, you'll benefit others, they'll contribute, and this is the way this works. All right, that's the ultimate team. I've always believed in teamwork. I learned that as a young teenager, playing sports and so forth, and I took it into the SEAL teams. Of course, now I do it in the consciousness field. So it is it's very, very valuable, and it's very, very important that we continue to do this. So the energies that are coming in, they're, I talk about this, and I share this information quite often in a lot of different areas. This is close to me. So this is Steamboat Hot Springs. At one time, this was a massive. I meant to bring up the map of this, but at one time, this area in Reno was, and I think they actually have. I know they do. They have a energy plant that basically taps into the steam, and they create energy from it. I wonder what that's doing now, but it looks like this was at one time a massive energy field in steam and so forth. It was the second biggest after Yellowstone, right? So this area actually erupted. It was a super volcano area at one time, and it erupted in the past. Now it seems to be acting up, and it's the first time it's done this in a long time.
A crack in the earth, scalding hot water with that rotten egg smell bubbling up and out.
208 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's essentially boiling at this altitude.
What's going on is a scientific phenomenon baffling the experts.
Really, it's a mystery. We don't.
Especially fascinating for nuclear physicist Taylor Wilson is that less than a year ago, a blip in geologic time, this was just dirt. But today, near the Steamboat Hot Springs Spa in South Reno, it's boiling back to life.
It's incredible. Most people thought that this geyser field had died, and now it's starting to reemerge.
All right, so this was 1 year ago. And check out these old photos.
And dug a well so people could still bathe in the mineral-rich water for healing and relaxation, including none other than Mark Twain. He said the noise sounded like a steamboat, hence the name. In the mid-1900s, the surface activity faded, but a local doctor bought the land and dug a well so people could still bathe in the mineral-rich water for healing and relaxation.
I've just never been here.
Like this hole that opened up just in the last few weeks. And this small puddle emerging from underneath a paved road.
And again, nature had other plans, and you can see that's very hot water, essentially boiling water coming right out of the asphalt.
So why here and why now? Wilson says Nevada is the perfect spot, positioned next to two moving tectonic plates.
In western Nevada, the crust is thin enough and that magma is close enough to the surface that it can heat the groundwater as it enters deep into the earth along these fractures.
As for
So happening everywhere, pretty much. This activity spreading all across the globe. We're going to continue to see this spread of energies, and we're going to have more and more eruptions like this. And let's see. Here's another one. This is more recent. So this is 1 month ago.
the sight was one to behold.
I've never been to Yellowstone, but for me, this is like a real close second.
Steps from Old 395, a geyser, the likes of which hasn't been seen here since the days of Mark Twain.
It was just magnificent. This whole terrace was steaming.
Back then, Steamboat was the third largest geyser field in the United States.
All right, third, I'm sorry. I said second. So third.
Most of that activity went underground until just recently. Last year, we showed you the mineral-rich water percolating, but a few weeks ago...
So as you can see, it's gotten more intense. So it's going to continue to build, guys. And there's going to be eruptions all over the world. There'll be massive earthquakes, massive tsunamis. This is consciousness growing. And the earth is growing in consciousness. So you will need to be very intuitive and very in touch with the energy fields to be able to shift and move around as we go. Yeah, be open-minded. Just saying. That's right, Edgar A. So just be open-minded. You know, I post this stuff and I see like little people like pull their heads out of their butts and make their comments. I've done this for a long time. I've done this for decades, actually, posting a lot of this stuff, and I'll have people come in, little smarty pants that pull their heads out for a moment and make their comments that I'm full of it, and then I'm proven right, and they disappear themselves. All right, so be aware that there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be naysayers, guys. Just be open-minded. It doesn't necessarily have to happen exactly, and I hope it doesn't, the way that I'm predicting and looking at it. And that's the value of someone that can see into the future, predicting stuff that we can use our consciousness, that river of energy, and shift things around. That's what we're learning. That's what we're going to be doing in the future. We're going to be creating the new earth, right? So, yes, they will find, and they do. They've been finding out for a long time, but even though they've been finding out, it doesn't make any difference. They just put their heads back up, their butts, and then something happens and they feel like they got to pull it out and make their comment again. Sorry. And that's just the way these people work, right? They think they can help other people put their heads up their butts too. And so you guys aren't doing that. You're just wide open. You're just watching things. You're using your analytical process. You're doing your research. You're open. You're loving. You're contributing. So, and that's the way the new earth is going to be, right? All right. So the geyser activity is increasing, not just in Nevada, but also all over the world. And I'll continue to show that and keep sharing that. There's a lot of people that are out there that are sharing that. You know, if you watch some of the people that I've been watching, just keep your eye on them. You know, subscribe to them. Keep it open mind. Keep it positive. Yep, Ed, keep a positive mind. You can look at this stuff and still stay positive. Just because I'm showing you things that normally wouldn't be viewed or conceived or as positive, there is still value in learning these different things so that we don't get entrapped into a negative cycle, right? So you stay positive. You look at these things as that could be valuable information. That's a positive way to look at, you know, the stuff that's coming out. So you see, you know, like I just showed you, that the energies of the earth are increasing, right? And they're going to continue. We're just getting started, all right? We're just getting started. We're just getting started with this party, all right? So let's see if I can flip through some of these and keep the sharing going. All right, hopefully. All right, so I think so. Here we go. All right, so Russia confirms mRNA vaccines trigger global cancer scare. Now, Russia and China did not have the European and American vaccines in their country. They created their own, right? And as I'm going to show you, their death rates, especially China, are very low compared to the United States and Europe. Imagine that. So here we are. We have Russia. As I said, Russia and Trump, not necessarily U.S. completely yet, but at some point, hopefully. Well, at some point it will be. It doesn't matter whether I hope it will be. It's going to actually happen. The deep state will be and is being decimated. And once they're gone, all of the little craziness they've been doing, like the vaccination plan and all that stuff, and continuing the vaccination death shots are going to start to, run out and be exposed and stop. So Russia sounding the alarm of vaccination and a surge in global cancer cases and deaths. Groundbreaking study was led by leading Russian researcher Angelina, and that's kind of where I'm going to stop with those names, right? And Dr. Oleg, so those are some tongue twisting. Russia and Chinese are the toughest languages, and I've had friends that have been to Language Institute in Monterey and have come back and they're like, I still can't speak that language after they were like 6 months. So either one of those languages. So they're really tough. Their findings confirm that the worldwide rollout of COVID mRNA shots triggered unexpected long-term safety risks, including skyrocketing rates of cancer, which are still rising dramatically. And of course, just like I just talked about, those closed-minded people that have their heads up their booties, they're not getting this. And they're having serious complications and passing away. All right. So again, it's a consciousness thing. If you don't have an open mind, there's going to be a lot of landmines for you. All right, going forward. So a lot of people have already stepped on them. They're gone, right, by the millions by this point. All right. Rather than collecting new patient data, the study reviews government registries, published literature, because they're not giving this information up. They're hiding and they're colluding to misinform and all that kind of stuff. So they have to do the workarounds, kind of like what we do, kind of what I'm doing with this show. And I've been doing this show for like well over 5, almost 6 years now. Of course, I had YouTube channel way before that and Facebook, and I was posting a lot of stuff for a long time. But it really, when I really started to take my intuitive and remote viewing and influencing skills and start to translate them into what's going on in the world, that really, helped a lot of people. And that's when this channel really took off. So, of course, they tried like heck to, and they did quite a good job of shutting me down for quite some time, but it seems to be coming back, and that's very promising. It's very encouraging. Hopefully it continues. All right. However, they warn that mainstream surveillance efforts, so they see, like you guys know, they see us talking about this stuff and they shut it down. Like they shut my channels down over and over and over and over again. All right. And then even on Rummble, they restricted me on there and they harassed me on there. They still harass me. There's, I have some people that monitor my stuff, and they tell me how it's got to be coming from Rummble, where people come in and try and get people to invest and all that kind of stuff. It's coming from Rummble itself. Right now, I pointed that out with YouTube back in the day, that they were allowing people to come into my YouTube channel and do the same thing. I'm sure it still happens on YouTube, but not as much anymore because we're monitoring. YouTube is better than Rummble now, right? As far as like doesn't restrict me a quarter of the, I mean, maybe even a 20th. It's really changed a lot, guys. So it's very promising. I think the reason why is because YouTube has some people in there that are monitoring and making sure things are moving in the right direction. Plus, they have a lot of money problems, right? And so they have to let guys like me come in and make money for them. All right, so that helps them. They argue that ovarian cancer rates in particular appear to have spiked. Now they talk about they spiked 1,433-fold after the mRNA vaccination. So ovarian cancer. So if women can't have the eggs come out of the ovaries, there's no kids, right? There's no children. There's no future for the human race. So that's one of the things that they want. And I remember I had this one guy that came on. I can't remember his name. Unfortunately, they killed him. He had books out. He was talking about transhumanism, Chinese, and all that kind of stuff. And he warned all about this stuff. And they were still doing stuff. And I remember he did a show where he came in and he talked about it. Then went and he says, "Okay, so you guys have to stop doing this." And then he was dead within a few days, right? So crazy. I've seen so many people that have died, all right, trying to get information out to people. So I'm one of the lucky few that keeps it going. All right, alongside cancer, authors warn of broader spikeopathy. The spike protein and so forth, concerns including myocarditis, autoimmune disease, and clotting disorders. So the vaccines may carry fewer long-term risks. Their overall conclusion is stark. Mass mRNA injections have created a safety crisis the global medical establishment refuses to confront. So the adenovirus vector vaccines may carry fewer. So that was what I think the Russians were using, and that seems to have done really well. So the Russians didn't have as many deaths as the United States and Europe. China was like crazy low, but they really locked the heck out of the Chinese. I don't know if that helped them or was worse or what the heck. Countries with the highest mRNA injection uptake, such as Germany, the UK, and much of Western Europe, have reported sustained spikes in all-cause mortality long after COVID itself declined in lethality. So I've talked about these abnormally elevated death rates, and there's other people who've been talking about it for years, all right, and they continue to go up. So an analysis of 145 countries even found that vaccination programs were associated with up to 291% more COVID cases and 205% more deaths. So you got vaccinated, you're more likely to die. We've talked about this, and all the doctors that are on this side of the fence, they were trying to inform everybody. We're warning about this. I was warning about this. I warned about this before the vaccination program even started, because I was hearing that the vaccination was large sections of the vaccination that were going to come out were compromised and tampered with. They're going to cause massive problems, which they, as we were seeing, they did. All right, the evidence is mounting and shows that mass mRNA vaccination has not only failed to stop COVID, but may be fueling an ongoing surge in cancer, chronic illness, and unexplained deaths. Those, crazy, sudden adult death syndrome, SADS, right? We had SIDS for a long time when they vaccinated the heck out of little babies, and they were dying in their cribs and no one can figure it out. Yeah, right. Now we know, right? So the vaccination program, do not vaccinate. Stop yourself. Do not vaccinate with anything. All right. So COVID, here's the death rates by country. So Peru was top of the list. So they basically go deaths by million. So if there's 4,532,000, they had 221,000 deaths. So that's puts them at the top of the list. Then on down, Hungary, surprisingly, was up there at number 5. Because I know at one time they were talking about getting the Russian and Chinese vaccination. I don't know if they ever did. I just remember this from a while back, and then I heard that their death rates were increasing. I don't know if they got the U.S. vaccines because Orban was complaining that he couldn't get vaccines from the United States and Europe because they were vaccinating their own people first. He should have stuck with the Russian and Chinese. So United States, as you guys can see, is number 17. Supposedly the highest rate of money per person in the world for healthcare, and we were 17 on the list for death rate. Right? So 103 cases, 103 million cases, over 103 million, almost 103.5 million. Deaths were over a million. I guarantee you it wasn't from COVID. A lot of that's from the vaccination, right? And we had all those people. They had those nurses. Remember that one nurse that got vaccinated, and she like passed out, and they moved the camera after she passed out, right after she got vaccinated, and then she kind of disappeared. And then someone that looked like her came back, like a year or two later and said, yeah, because everybody's like, they were claiming conspiracy theory. So we had so much of that, right? So much of that, bullshit. So United Kingdom, of course, is right up there with the United States, Italy. So you see all of the, European countries are way at the top. Russia's down here at 33. Ukraine, down there. France, Mexico, Bermuda, Spain. You go on down. Let's go all the way down to the bottom and work our way back up. North Korea, second from the bottom. What the heck? And then, because I'm sure they basically probably blew off China and United States. Didn't vaccinate at all. Who knows? And then we come up here, not too far from the bottom where's China? Did I pass it already? I might have passed it. Let me go back a little bit because I know it was close to the bottom. Yeah, there it is. 194, right? So near the bottom. So 85. So 122,000 deaths. And what was the United States? 1,200,000 something. Yep, 1 million. Like 10 times. We had 10 times the death rate of China, where the Wuhan lab created the COVID-19 bioweapon. Right? But we know that the vaccine was the real bioweapon. Right? So that, I've talked about this for a long time. Unable to get U.S. vaccines, world turns to Russia and China. That's probably why Africa, I didn't show you Africa, but let's go back and look at Africa all the way at the bottom. All right, you're going to see Chad, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Burkina Faso, Central African Republic, Ivory Coast, Togo. All of these are Angola, Liberia, Yemen, which is right across from Africa. So Ethiopia, Cameroon, Mozambique, is that Africa? Uganda, Somalia. I know Somalia's Africa. I've been there. So they're all at the bottom. Remember that one African guy that was like, he basically took the COVID test and he tested it on like a turnip or something. It was some kind of vegetable. And he did it on some animal, a goat or something, and it came back positive. So, and so he basically said, no one gets tested in my country. No one will be vaccinated. And then he died. And then his replacement basically said, come on, do the testing, do the vaccination. Yeah, that's the way it works there, guys. All right. So evil is everywhere. All right, so we'll turn to Russia and China. So while China is shipping 1 million doses a week across Africa, and the Turks were low on the list too, has vaccinated 7 million Turks. Argentina was just one of 50 countries that turned to Russia for help. So a lot of places, like we saw in Africa, they got the Chinese vaccination. What do they put in that? Hydroxychloroquine, right? So that's why they're at the bottom of the list, and why China is like almost at the bottom of the list, right? 10 times the number. So we know what did it. It wasn't the COVID-19, which is basically just a bad case of the flu, right? A really bad case. And of course, a lot of people die from the flu every year. So the numbers of people dying from the flu, the COVID-19 flu, were a little bit higher than normal. And then they worked those numbers up, and then they had those tests that you could not even get the test and you would come out positive. Remember, there was like all these people was like, hello, we came back positive with COVID test, and we were in line. We decided not to get it because it was too long, and you had our name down, I guess, and we came back positive with the test. So there was so much of that lying BS. And then people were dying from motorcycle accidents, and they'd like test them with that test, and they're like, they had COVID. They died of COVID, right? So they just worked it. It was crazy. And CNN had like the death counter. Remember, I was like predicting, there'll be like this many people that will die, or at least that would be the number they represented. I could see it into the future. And that was another way I became popular, because I was like looking in the future, and I started to see this stuff. And then I started saying, oh, wait, this is bullshit, right? And then the hits started coming, all right? Down, take channel down, channel down, channel down, channel down. All right, so that's what we've seen over time. Now, of course, poor Adam Schiff going illegal. This will probably be this. Remember, this is an old picture of Bug Eye. Bug Eye's gone. We don't see Bug Eye anymore. It's a guy that doesn't have bug eyes. Right? This is an old a real Adam Schiff picture. The new Adam Schiff does not have bug eyes. Right? So poor Adam Schiff, whoever's playing him is gonna go bye-bye. Right? So that's a start. We're gonna see probably this thing like I, Juan, Nino. A lot of us have been predicting towards the end of October, early November, we're going to start seeing the rest, right? So they're coming. They've already happened to a great extent. Had Sheila Holm on that talked about this. They're already resting. So she's one of the greatest researchers that's out there. So she's coming on, I think, with General Vallée. I think it's Thursday, somewhere around there, Thursday, Friday. I think it's Thursday. We're going to have them. Well, they won't be live. They'll just appear. All right. So that's kind of the way that has to work. As you guys know, I get restricted quite often during live shows. So she's like the worst. And I don't, like if I'm doing Juan, we talk about it. Okay, you're going to come on this time? All right, we're just going to come on. So we just come on, we like sneak it in. I don't even have his name in the title. So, and then I change it later. So this is the way we work, guys. They're doing, subterfuge on us. We just flip it back on them. We subterfuge them, and that's how we win. We surprise them, and they're like, "Oh shit, they're exposing us. We're doomed. We're doomed." Yes, you are doomed, and because there's enough of us have awakened, promising going forward. So yeah, the vaccination scam is going to continue to come to the light. The other scam, of course, the Russia collusion for the 2020 election, that's coming to light, especially in October, I guess, when they start the trials for a lot of that. And that's going to be very, very important going forward. Yes, I'm sneaky. I learn. All right. Learn to be sneaky. If you don't learn to be sneaky, you die, especially if you're in combat zones. All right. So now, I just feel like we're in combat zone, against these psychopaths. So that's why, I work so hard to play around, right? Disinformation, those guys. Russia army breaks into Konstantinovka, and as Azov neo-Nazis flee and panic. So these are the top warriors of Ukraine, and now they're being decimated and they're fleeing. So we're going to see, like I've been talking about, I said it was coming, and we're going to see a very wide collapse of the Ukraine army. I can't see that there's going to be peace until that army is completely decimated. And that doesn't mean that Russia is going to, take over all of Ukraine. They may have to sweep across all of Ukraine to, decimate this army and completely obliterate it. But it is what I've seen. It's going to take probably another year or two at least, but it could happen very quickly. Once their army does collapse, they can, and they're starting to move very, very quickly across very broad areas of. Now, what the Russia is going to have to learn how to do is how to rapidly seize and control and defense, put up defenses for rapidly moving their front rapidly. So that's what they're starting to learn now. It's starting to come. So they're not used to this. They're used to like slugging it out, and then they started doing the pincer movement like I told them to do. Right. So the pincer movement basically, first it was around a town. Now it's around whole groups of towns, and some of them are very large towns, with, 1 million plus, some of the largest towns they've ever conquered. And that's good, because by not coming in and slugging it out in these towns, destroying every brick, they can, work around and basically cut off the supply lines, and the Ukrainians have to run for their lives, or they'll be captured or slaughtered, and that's what basically they've been saying. So total collapse of Azov on the front. Russian army shows no mercy, no prisoners taken, because they were given a warning. So Putin demands their surrender. Azov faces doom. Putin demands their surrender or total destruction. Of course, this is the way the Nazis are. They don't surrender, so they're being decimated, right? And that's the way it's going to be all the way across the country. So that's what's happening. That's going to continue to happen. So supposedly, we're going to have Zelensky and Putin get together. Yes, the cokehead, Zelensky. Yeah, Silver Pimp. So, So he's always doing this. He was like, he would come in, he was like shaking people's hands, and then he'd like walk and he'd like doing this. So I'm like, dude, like, you jacked up before the meetings, I guess. I don't know. But like I've said, he's a dead man walking. He won't survive very long in the future. Because once the Russians either go completely across, or he sees a light and surrenders, then we'll see him. He'll be taken out. He'll run for his life, but he won't get far. All right, he'll be tracked down, and basically, there's no way these people are going to be able to run away, guys. Not in today's world, right? Unless he goes like in a hole in the ground in the middle of Africa that he finds. But he's not going to do that. He likes luxury and so forth, and he's got all of his multi-million-dollar homes all over the world. He's going to run to one of them, maybe run from that one to another one, but eventually he's going to be tracked down. That's right, Sasha. He's a filthy puppet. He is a puppet, and he is a very filthy man. So he's going to learn. He's going to find out. All right, so let's look at what's going on with the market because this is part of taking down the deep state, the collapse of the financial institution that they have used to control the world. So we have to be intuitive and we have to be ready for this to basically happen. And here's a good demonstration of what this looks like. All right, so if you go back to 1929, you're seeing this line. Let's see if I can pull this out a little bit. Nope. So this is 1929 where it collapsed, right? It collapsed 85, almost 90%. And then it came back, World War II. And so you see where that line goes. It goes all the way up here. It's about 35, 40, 50 years or something like that before it reached its peak again, right? So that's probably what's going to happen again. But I think it's going to be something completely different. So then we go up. Here we are in 2000, all right? That was one of the biggest stock market bubbles since 1929. That collapsed. This line right here is 2008, another collapse. That was pretty deep one right there. Of course, the Great Recession, that was a depression. But anyway, recession, they pumped all kinds of money into the economy, and they brought it out of its tailspin and brought it back up. Of course, up here around 2000, it dipped, and then it came back, and now we're seeing that top again. So here we are in current time frames, and we're seeing the same top, almost 100 years later. Every time it hits that line, and here's another line. So this is from 2008. I think that's 2020. And now it's, that's 2020. COVID lie scare. And then you have those two lines intersecting. And every time it's touched, it has gone down, right? Every time it touches, it goes down. So the big ones, the big collapses, we're going to see this big collapse. Again, I predict 80, 90, maybe even 95% collapse in the stock market. So, and housing, everything goes down, right? So save your money, save your silver. I've talked about silver for a long time. Let's look at, what's going on with some of these markets. So that's not. Bye-bye. All right, so let me pull up TradingView. So TradingView will basically give you an idea of where we're at. That's why I like to show it. So we'll talk about this a little bit. We'll talk about crypto and so forth. Dang it. There was something in there I wanted to share, but it wasn't up. It kind of like disappeared. I might have to go back and find it. And you guys that have like so little patience that you're like, leaving. So when I have like a pause to like bring, I see it. And I see it in other people's shows where someone is like, they search for something. There's a pause in, the constant narrative, and people are like, whoop, 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 big numbers. Whoop, 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 whoop. Yep, it just went down 15. All right, so 15 people left. Well, I talked about that. Oh, you're going to talk about me? That's me. I'm out. So funny. So anyway, they're missing out big. All right, so look at these numbers, guys. This is the NASDAQ today. It pulled back pretty substantially. See this long red line, right? So that was like a 328, 1.39% drop. Now, talk about these gaps. See this gap right here? That's like 2,000 points down. Gaps will be filled at some point. And it remains to be seen if it's coming up, because we're in a extremely overbought, extreme greed, So when you have extreme fear, usually going to get a bounce. When you look back over here, back in April, where we had that massive drop in the stock market, see how it gapped, and went all the way down. Then it bounced, and look at that long green push, right? Boy, that was greed coming in, the manipulators, right? So I just went to a house. It's called the Thunderbird House here in Lake Tahoe. The guy that amassed all this money, so his claim to fame was he never worked a day in his life. He came from a very rich family, silver spoon in his mouth, and his name was George. Can't think of his last name, but anyway, I'll probably do some stuff on him because he had some very interesting things. He had tunnels under his house, yes, and like tracks, like he had carts that he pushed under his house. He was into opium, all kind of stuff before it was illegal. So he had an opium den in his house. So all kind of crazy stuff, but I'll talk about more of that. So that guy he took over, the family's funds, stock market funds. So 1 week before the stock market crashed, like I just showed you guys back in 1929, 1 week before that, he pulled all his money out. He's like the most incredible intuitive, or he got some insights. Somebody told him. Now, when people get these insights, usually they're controlled after that. All right, we're going to give you this, and you're going to make a lot of money, and we want to control you. All right. So I haven't seen what that is yet, but I think there's some things there. But, it is what it is. So with the money that he made, I guess, with the stock market crash, it was equivalent to the day's $59 billion. Can you imagine having 59 equivalent $1 billion back then, 1929? He bought up huge swaths of Lake Tahoe, which is good because Lake Tahoe is still quite beautiful. But he bought it from the logging company, which had basically stripped all of Lake Tahoe of all of its magnificent, beautiful trees, and sent them down the Truckee River to be used in the silver mines. All right, so Reno in Nevada was very famous for its silver and gold mines. That's how William Randolph Hearst, who was another person that had a silver spoon, he had a golden spoon in his mouth. His father, worked the mines in Nevada and built his family wealth. But yeah, there's a lot of people made incredible amounts of money back then, and then used that. Of course, William Randolph Hearst, one of my past lives. All right, so I have so many memories of that life, and I could talk about that life. And I remember one of the things that I remembered, because they did assassination on him, because he was a good guy. He was revealing, and he worked with the military, and he was kind of like a spy and all that kind of stuff. He treated his employees well. Now they did a bad thing on him. They basically said that he screwed with his employees. You look it up, and all you're going to see is like he screwed his employees over. I did not have memories of that, and I talked about that when I used to talk about my past lives in shows. And I actually had a guy that I did a one-on-one counseling with, and he said that he was an older guy, like a little bit older than me at the time. Just about, I don't know, 7 years ago, I was working with this guy. So he was telling me that he worked with the guy that was the head of all of Trump's employees, and he told him that was a lie. That, not Trump, but Hearst. He said Hearst was very generous and very good to his employees because he took care of them. He was the guy. But they did a hit job. So, and just like they try to do on Trump, right? So there are good people out there with money. He was one of them, and they destroyed him, right? So there's lots of stuff like that. So anyway, a little tangent there. So anyway, when you look at the stock market right now, as I showed you, it's right on the cusp of failing massively. Where that failure happens and when it happens remains to be seen. There's a lot of manipulation going around. So again, if you look at the first gap that needs to be filled, it's about 2,000 points down from where it's at right now. All right. And if you look at the other gap, see this is a big gap. That gap is like over 3,000 points down. That's a lot. And then you come down here. Here's the last gap that at some point will be filled. And that is like 5,000 points down from where the NASDAQ is right now. So now will it come down and test that low? Yes, at some point. I don't know. Will it come down and fill these gaps soon? I don't think so. Now, one of the things that's a tattletale, like a canary in the coal mine, is Bitcoin. And I was going to show charts on that, but unfortunately, I don't have them now. Bummer. Or do I? Yeah, I do. How about that? I saved it. I thought I did, but I did. That's good. All right, so crypto trying to tell us something. If you look at this, I know there's a lot of crypto bubbas out there. I told you a long time ago, I'm out of crypto. I don't have a good feeling about it. You can make a little money here and there, but you're going to make a lot more in silver at some point. So here we have Ethereum and Bitcoin that are going down, and they're going down even more today. And I think they're going to go down a lot more. So as you see the NASDAQ, so you look throughout time, look over here, Bitcoin went down, and then the NASDAQ, whoop, and then Bitcoin started going up, the NASDAQ, whoop. So see how these two interplay. So Bitcoin is down. Now will Bitcoin pop back up tomorrow? We'll see. We'll see. Maybe, baby. But it looks like the NASDAQ's rolling over. Bitcoin day by day is going down. Same thing with Ethereum. So just have to be very cognizant of that. There's a lot of other things in here that are pointing to negativity. I'm not going to go into all the detail, but the people with a lot of money, kind of like that guy back in 1929, George, that bought all the property in Lake Tahoe because he was like super wealthy. They know. So you have the traders that are basically on the sidelines right now. So if you look at ETF categories, so this is individual investors. So like the uninformed, right? Look how high they're pumping this market up. Extreme greed we're in right now. Now, here's the corporate bond ETFs flows, and here's the professional investors way down here. They're like not doing it, guys. So they're the ones that know, and at some point they're gonna benefit. They're gonna like yank it. Now you're gonna look at Warren Buffett and said, well, Warren Buffett pulled his cash out well over a year ago, or sold his stocks, and now he's in like crazy amounts of cash, right? Almost $1 trillion worth of cash. It's a crazy amount. Yeah, it's not that much, like hundreds of billions though. So that should be another canary in the coal mine for everybody. But usually guys like him will pull their money out earlier, right? Now he is a big silver guy. I mean, a massive silver guy. Now the United States, bad people came after him, just like they came after George. So Nevada came after George, and they said, this little spot of land that you have, we want it, and you're going to give it to us. We're going to take it from you. And sure enough, they took it from him. He wasn't too happy about that, but they made a nice beach out of it. Sand beach or something. Sand something in Nevada, right on the shore of Nevada. Beautiful, beautiful area. But he used to own it. And the Nevada government, state came after him like they do. They went after William Randolph Hearst estate. So that's why you can visit Hearst Castle now. So they do this to a lot of these people, right? So the biggest mafia is the government, guys. Has been. CIA, mafia all around the world. We have to change that. We have to get rid of this mafia that's controlling our states, right? So that's a deep state. So anyway, the smart people are not in stock market. The dumb money is blowing the stock market up. Now we know that housing prices are collapsing. There's massive, more than even all the way back to the Great Depression, guys. There's more retail on the market, or more real estate on the market. You go all the way back to the Great Depression timeframes, right? So at some point, those prices are really going to start to go down, just like they did with the corporate real estate. So we've seen corporate real estate crash 85, 90%. We're going to see the same thing like I've been predicting for years in the housing. I didn't think it would take this long, but they have really pumped this up and kept the manipulation going for a lot longer. If Trump wasn't there, they probably would have continued it. They lie about the employment numbers. They lie about the inflation numbers. They lie about everything. And Trump has to go after all this stuff and shut it down. But, it's quite a racket they got going on. So going back over here, so as you guys can see, Bitcoin is getting slaughtered, right? So I think if we see it break 111 or 112 and then go a little bit lower, definitely if it breaks 111, you're going to see this thing crash. Because if you see this right here, this is kind of like the floor and the ceiling at around 112. So it breaks 112 and goes below 111. Look out below. So we'll probably go all the way down, I think, into below 100,000 for Bitcoin. But there is a possibility that it will come back, right? So just be flexible. XRP, I know a lot of you guys are like, just mind numb, thinking XRP is going to go to like $1 million or something per share. No. Now, it could go up to 6. Now, a lot of people predicted 6. I would rather be in silver. You'll make more money in silver always. But anyway, will it double from, where it's at right now? Almost $3 to 6? That's double. But silver will be like, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 100 times what it is right now, possibly. So it's up to you what you want to do and who you want to be. You want to be like that guy that buys all the real estate in Lake Tahoe, or do you want to be the guy that's, begging on the street? So it's up to you. All right, so that's what's coming for a lot of this crypto. It may pull deeply back and then go back up again. That is an outside possibility because I don't think the stock market has reached its all-time high. Now, if it comes down and fills some of those gaps, goes sideways, get rid of some of the overbought, and takes the weak hands to get rid of them, strong hands come in and start to buy and all that stuff at cheap, you could see this thing turn around like it did before, like it did back here in April, and just go up, 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 and doesn't care about gaps, doesn't care about a little pullback. It just keeps going, just keeps chugging, and reaches all-time new highs. All right. So it's reaching all-time new highs into the top of that channel that is all the way back almost 100 years, right? Where it usually hits its head above that on that, and then collapses massively. So everything else is failing, but the stock market. Stock market does not determine, is not an indicator of our economy. Our economy is smashed. The world economy is smashed right now. But everybody's still enthralled with the stock market and crypto. They get little X's in the eyes on crypto. You're going to find out, right? Because crypto, as you guys have seen, will collapse faster than anything else. Now, silver, high whole silver is in a little channel. It's in, now, of all assets throughout history, throughout the history of the stock market, whatever, you have like indicators of how things are going to go. So A cup and handle is an indicator of future um, movements. It's a bullish thing. So we have the largest cup and handle in the history of any asset throughout time. So when you have a cup and handle, you usually have a massive spike. So we have, like I said, the biggest cup and handle, and I'll show that probably on Friday with Dr. Kirk Elliott when he comes on and talks. The biggest cup and handle in the history of any asset class anywhere on Earth, right? So that means that silver will explode upwards. Now, gold is doing really well too. Gold will follow. And then at some point, gold will surpass silver after it spikes massively, which it always does, right? So we build up our silver amounts the best we can. Dr. Kirk Elliott, of course, is the best place to do it. And then when we reach a certain level, we start to transfer our silver into gold and prepare for the blast off in gold, right? So gold will follow along and then really explode upwards. So that's the way it works, and I hope you like it, because I do. And it's been working exceptionally good. So that's what we see in the future. The future is going to be good. Evening to all here. David, good night. So you must know that I'm getting ready to leave. All right, so good. So a lot of you guys stuck it out. Thank you. This channel is building very rapidly once again. That's fantastic. So that means, the algorithms, the algos, start to pull in more. The show that I did with Sheila Holm is like the biggest, that I've seen since I was kicked off years ago. I used to do 100,000 plus, sometimes 1 million view shows. It's been crankety for a little bit. I'm sure they're probably suppressing me on a certain level. But I don't have all the people either. Thank you, Truther Mike, all your work too. So it is going to be phenomenal going forward. We'll have a lot more people involved in this river of consciousness. And speaking of the river of love, we're going to do the love bowl. All right, so I want you guys to take a nice deep breath. Breathe with your lower diaphragm. Fill up your belly with air. Hold it. And on the sound of this, let it go slow and take in that love vibration. And now the crown chakra all the way up into God Force. Now take another deep breath. Hold it. And of course, you can come back and get that vibrational frequency anytime you feel like it. So that's beautiful, right? So now we're able to do those more often, maybe even longer meditations where in the past, we used to focus on different things. So now that I figure out the microphone thing, so it only took me like 3 years. Anyway, sounds like great grandma's wind chimes. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, she had some good ones in. All right, guys, lots of love. Stay in the love vibration. Stay in that love river of consciousness, and we'll see you guys next time.